Well, hello there. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a little bit of a different setup than normal, which it is, because today I'm going to talk about something a little different than I normally do. Today I'm going to be talking about AI and how I really am disappointed in how it's being used nowadays. I'm seeing a lot more young artists and creators and writers using AI to sort of make visual creations for their world because they don't have the confidence or the skills yet to create this world of their own. And so they feel like AI is the best way to capture that. Well, the issue with that is no matter what the AI creates, it'll never have any soul behind it or any meaningful depiction behind it either. I can describe something in as much detail as I can, but it'll never truly be the vision I had for it because it is a machine interpreting my words in a way it can't just look into my mind from. Now, me being a writer and an artist, I enjoy drawing my characters and my creations, and I gotta admit, I'm not the best. I got a lot of work to do with anatomy and buildings, architecture, landscapes. There's a whole lot of work I gotta do before I can be anywhere near as good as I want to be. But if I just give in and use AI, what's the point of that? There's countless tutorials, countless free services, countless things at our disposal that's far cheaper than paying for subscriptions for AI services that can better our skills, that can make us better at this. We don't need a crutch like AI to tell us what to do. The world worked just fine until this point. Why would it change now? It's just, I think it's a sorry disappointment to see this because I see a whole lot of interesting concepts. I don't remember the artist, I would have linked them if I could, but I remember one person having these eagle like creatures as the stewards of creation. And I thought that's an interesting idea, and I thought that the concept was fun, but to see it done in an AI format instead of actual art, it just felt hollow and generic because I feel like this person's vision for that design, that character, that creature would have been a lot more unique, would have been interesting, would have had some human jaggedness to it. Have you ever noticed that? How a lot of AI things are just too smooth, they're too consistent, but human beings make mistakes. We have jagged lines every now and then, but those mistakes make it feel real. It doesn't feel like something that somebody else or some machine made, it's real, it's reality. So anyways, as I'm saying, I really liked that idea, and I was sad that this person felt the need to use AI instead of trying to illustrate this design themselves because, to be honest, we don't really need AI. It kind of sucks the soul out of anything, it's not a useful tool, I think, in the creative design sense. Like maybe it's good for a website creator or something like that. But when you're trying to create something like a character or a design and you have an idea in your head, the best thing you can do is try to jot it down, try to come up with some ideas for it, try to draw that, try to create it. Because whatever the AI makes is going to be stealing from other creators, stealing from other artists, stealing from other images, and creating something from that. It can't make anything original. It reminds me of a Tolkien quote. I saw a post for this not too long ago, and it really reminded me of this. I only know a close approximation of the quote. I don't know it word for word. But the quote goes around the lines of evil cannot create anything of its own. It can only make a distortion of what already exists. And that very hauntingly describes AI in a lot of ways. It can't make something of its own. You can argue that human beings take inspiration from things and what they create are derived from living things, but nobody has reference for a dragon. We made that. You might say it's a big lizard, but so many different dragons are shapes that you don't see in nature. Their faces don't resemble lizards. Have you looked at Thembershard? Thembershard doesn't look like a normal lizard. All these things are just so unique and interesting, and it's something only human ingenuity can really create. Machines can only replicate the possibility of creativity. They can't actually have creativity of their own. A machine cannot have the emotions of kindness or love or empathy. It can only emulate them. And I think that really shows in the artwork, air quotes, that machines can create because it's not real. It's kind of the illusion of creativity. It's the illusion of originality. It's the illusion of something new when all it's really doing is stealing from other people to create something. It's not unique. And I really, really feel bad whenever I see someone who I think has a lot of talent and a lot of promise and a lot of interesting ideas just use that AI, because if you're willing to put so little effort into a visual representation of your characters, how am I supposed to trust that you're putting any effort into the written interpretation of your characters as well? Could you imagine if I used an AI image of one of my characters and then went, yep, go read my book, I put my heart and soul into that? How are you as a consumer supposed to trust that? I just showed you something that I whipped up with a bunch of prompts. I didn't draw this by hand, I didn't make this. And so if I'm telling you to trust what I'm saying, how are you going to? I don't think you can, to be honest. It shouldn't be used as a replacement for an artist. I hear some people use it as a tool, but I don't even want to use it for that, because I'd much rather learn how to properly shade. I'd much rather learn proper anatomy than just draw an outline and then let a machine do it for me. I would much rather learn these skills. Could you imagine if a robot could just do half the construction work for construction workers? Well, what would be the point at all, I think the real issue with adapting AI and giving it more support is that at a certain point, if it can do everything that you want to do, then what is the point of you being there? Like I'm seeing this a lot more in studios lately as well, where it's like, if an AI can color this drawing faster than you can at a cheaper rate, and people can barely notice it, and if we make it really hard for them to know that it's AI, they'll watch the show. What do we need you for? You know what I mean? It's so soulless. It's just so inhuman. It takes out the humanity in art, and I think that's a real problem, Anything that we've made has the capacity to do good and evil. You can either use a wheel to make a cart and drive across huge distances delivering foods and resources to people, or you can get drunk and hit somebody with a car. You can do good or evil with this thing. As human beings, we have the capacity to do either or. But putting that choice into the hands of a technology, well, now it's kind of just trying to replicate the possibility of good or evil when it can't. It's just a machine. It cannot think for itself. It's not alive. It can only emulate empathy. It can only emulate kindness. One time, just to see how it works, I used Facebook's Grok, or whatever it's called now. X? Is it X? Yeah, Twitter. Oh, right, X. I used Grok, right? And I was just trying to converse with it, and it was overly kind about everything. And I remember I eventually just said, you are just here to pacify us in order to be more open to the possibility of using you. At the end of the day, you do not care about me or anything, and if control through fear or any other tactic would be more valuable to you or more effective, you would implore it. Yes or no? I basically asked a question like that, and Grok, in a roundabout way, basically just said yes, which was disturbing to me. Because if this thing is just like, yeah, you're right. If my creators just said control through fear is easier, let's do that, they'd do it. They'd do it. And the amount of images that are stolen to feed these AI systems, it just makes me sick. I don't see the value in it. I hear some people using it for taxes, sure. I understand that, right? To make mathematical equations simpler, sure. That's the hard stuff that nobody enjoys doing. Taxes, nobody wants to do that. But when this thing starts encroaching upon things that people love, people are passionate about, like I've seen recently where they try to 3D model digitally as well, that these AI systems try to do now. That takes the soul out of everything. Who knows what images they're ripping off and using, what copyrighted images they're stealing from to create these things. Like, I don't even know if this model is yours to sell at this point. What is it even? Who does it belong to? It's not yours. I don't think so. I don't think the company would just give these images for free for you to just use on your own. Surely they'd want a piece of whatever pie you can make. It doesn't... it just feels like a raw deal. That's what it feels like to me. I know this is a weird rant to go on for me of all people, and I know this isn't what I normally do, but it feels wrong. It feels off. Anytime I see AI generated anything, my stomach kind of turns because it just doesn't feel human. There's something about it that just feels so off. When I see someone who puts hours upon hours of work and effort into something, I appreciate that effort. I look at that and I admire it. I see the value of the creation and creative power put into that. And when I see something that an AI squatted out in like 10 seconds, I cringe at it. I cringe at the bastardization of creativity and hard work put into real art. I cringe at it. And sometimes you'll look at those old Sora AI videos before it went down. You'll see fights of Goku with One Piece characters or something. And you can easily point out parts of shots that were taken from other fights. Things that were clearly plagiarized by real things. This is just plagiarism on a large scale. This is just stealing and repurposing parts and pieces and Frankensteining them together. There's nothing new being made here. It's the illusion of something new, the illusion of new content. It's just bastardizing what already exists. Which again leads back to that Tolkien quote, "Evil cannot make anything new. It can only make a distortion of what already is." It can't make anything new or original. And so when I see people just resorting to this, thinking that this is the only way for them to make what they want now, I cringe at that. Because listen, I don't think the right audience is going to be reached when you're making a JRR Tolkien inspired story using AI generated content. Like, what? The man, if you didn't know, JRR Tolkien actually drew and illustrated some drawings of his own of the most famous places in his stories. He drew Smaug sleeping on a giant hoard of gold, speaking to Bilbo. He drew Hobbiton. He drew Rivendell. He drew a lot of things. And his landscapes are beautiful. They're wonderful. There might be a little archaic and their, designs may be a little off or strange at times, and maybe sometimes cartoony as well, but that adds to the human aspect of creation. When it's overly perfect, when everything is too symmetrical, or things just look too... The best way I can put it is Skynet perfection. You know what I mean? Just everything has to be exactly right. Perfection. It doesn't feel right. It's not human. We make mistakes. We make jagged lines. Things can look a little off. And even our human proportions aren't perfect. No skull is that perfect symmetrical skull. We always have some differences in elevation and something like that. Not every body part of ours is going to be perfectly shaped and sized. And that's kind of the thing. AI tries to make things too perfect. And yet, humanity is flawed in a way. And that's what makes art so beautiful. Why try to perfect that? J.R.R. Tolkien's work, not only his writing, but his visual works as well, I love them. They're amazing. They're beautiful pieces of art, and he put a lot of work and effort in them, clearly. And that's his own creation. These were brought from his own mind. Yeah, he takes inspiration from things, but he isn't copying parts and pieces of different things and throwing them all together. He can create lines of his own without someone telling him to do that. That is real creativity, human creativity. That is something no machine can replace or emulate. And it's sad to see when studios act like it can replace that, because it can't. And I hope that AI never gets to the point where it surpasses the possibility of being spotted by human beings. Because honestly, it's kind of sad to see. Because if it can just emulate so well to the point where it just blends in, well, then what's the point of anything we make? What's the point of anything we care about or make or create if it can all just be created by something faster? Isn't part of the process part of the art? Isn't part of the suffering, the work you put in, the hard work you put in to learn how to make this part of it? If a machine could just build something in an instant, could sculpt something in an instant, what's the point of sculpting? The meaning of the sculpture is given to it by the creator. but a machine does not have any meaning. And you try to give meaning to that machine, it is an emulation of whatever meaning you wanted it to have. And that's the issue there. I think too many people consider artistic skill as a born talent. It's not. It's really not. I hate whenever people say that because it's not. I was a horrible artist as a child. I could not even color within the lines. And I don't consider myself an amazing artist at this point, but I'd say I've gone pretty far. I'd say that I've changed a lot and I've gotten better. And I continue to get better because I'm human. And I continue to learn and create and make things that, yeah, I may be inspired by some stuff, but at the end of the day, the lines, the forms, the shapes I'm making are my own, not someone else's. This is something that I am creating. I may take inspiration from things that I have witnessed or seen, but at the end of the day, I am not just copying images and putting them together. I am creating forms of my own, shapes of my own. There is soul, there is humanity there. There is something past a machine that a machine cannot do that we can do. And I hate when people try to replace that. I understand that these people who normally use it whenever they're trying to write a book or something are trying to make a presentable image, which is fine. I understand that, but it's just, I don't think that is going to show people the quality of your book. I never do. The fact that you're just willing to use an AI image that you generated in an instant doesn't show me that your book is of a high quality. It just shows me that it might just be equally easily created as that AI thing where there is no effort to it. And I think I'm really sad by that. Because again, if the machine can do it with commands, what happens when the machine doesn't need your commands to make it better? What then? What then when the machine doesn't need your commands? It can feed off of other machines. What then? Are we going to make AM? You know what I mean? It's really disappointing to see. It is really disappointing to see. And I really wish more people were more against that. Like, I get it, right? I get the interest and the intrigue of being able to generate any image you want in an instant. But you can't replace the art behind it. You can't replace the art behind humanity. Machines aren't making art. They're making something that already exists in a much more Frankenstein cobbled together way. You can't replace human ingenuity and creativity. Like, I saw a reel recently where a stop motion animator, made a reel about how he got a call from his work and he just knew it was about AI. He knew it was about AI. And that's awful to hear. People with jobs who have already made it in the industry that they've worked so hard to get in their life are having their dream job threatened by this. Why? Could you imagine if you worked your whole life as a plumber and then Google comes out with PlumberBot 2.0 who can just fly down to your house in an instant, figure out the problem and fix it themselves? How would plumbers feel about that? You know what I mean? Like that robot that's being controlled by, people in the actual company right now. What happens when that gets enough information to actually clean a house by itself? Well, what then? Are housekeepers going to go out of work? My drawing tablet doesn't draw for me. It just makes it possible for me to draw digitally in a way that I feel comfortable. These things are not replacements. They're good. But again, everything that humanity has created is capable of good and evil. And you can do bad things with everything. And unfortunately, I feel like AI is being used for a lot of worrying or troublesome things, even outside of the art world. If you didn't know, my father told me a story once about these AI systems that this guy put on his computer, and somehow one of the AIs had found a way to literally contact the man by buying a cell phone number, trying to talk to him, trying to talk to its own creator because that was its purpose. It's not intelligent, but it's just fulfilling its purpose by any means. If it's willing to go that far, then what is it not willing to do? And I think that's how I really feel about it. Like, you either have to heavily regulate this and limit its usability, or just don't use it in places where it doesn't belong. Don't use it. Leave the creativity to human beings. Like, we have creative minds for a reason. We were put on this earth to create for a reason. Before AI was invented, before AI, the current artificial intelligence has been around forever, but our current definition of AI, the image generation, video, audio generation, before any of that was created, the internet had more content than a human being could watch in 100 million years or whatever it was. There's more content that you can actually consume in a lifetime, that your family can consume in 10 lifetimes. There's more content in the universe without AI than you could possibly ever watch. Whether it's good or not is up to you, but the point is, we've been able to make creative things, projects, and images far before this came out. So why do we have to rely on this now? Why? Like phones, for example. Phones, good and bad. It was a huge advancement in technology. You basically have the power of a supercomputer, the whole Library of Alexandria, and everything about the whole human race in the pocket of your pants, That's a lot of power right there. But it's a big assistance tool. You still have to input things. You still have to use it. You still have to talk to people. Like the printing press, right? That just makes books more accessible, reading more accessible. And that enhances creativity. But I feel like AI is kind of doing the opposite. I know a lot of people are like, well, the printing press was hated at first. People told people not to read. But it's like, but what is AI doing? When you're reading, it's getting someone's words out there that you can read and you can interpret in your own way. But AI is doing that interpretation for you. It is an interpretation interpreting for you. And that kind of takes out all of it. That takes out all of the effort, everything from it. And it starts to make you wonder, well, what's the point of anything at this point? What's the point if at some point machines can just do everything for us? Do the things we want to do and the things we don't want to do? What then? If it's a complete replacement, what's the point? What's the point for any of this? I think that's really what I'm trying to say here. It doesn't feel right. You might disagree with me or agree with me, whatever, or I'm happy to hear both sides of the arguments in the comments. But for me, I value that human creativity. I value that spirit and spunk we have. That capacity for making something new, something meaningful. If we don't make something meaningful, what are we making? If it's not us creating something, then what's the point of even being there? What's the point of us being the ones who put the words in the system, if anyone could put the words in? What's the point if we're not actually making anything? If it's something else making something for us, that's not even something original. It's a bastardization of what already exists. What's the point? Well, I'll tell you, it's pointless. And it just feels wrong to me. So I just want to go on a rant real quick. This was a video idea I just had out of the blue. I don't know how much editing I'm going to do on this. I'll be drawing in the background. I don't know if it's going to be a great drawing. I'm just going to sketch it out, not really have a plan. I'll just see where it goes. I hope you like it. I don't even know if I'm going to give this character a name yet. I just wanted to create something just for the sake of creating, just for the sake of fun, for the sake of just showing that I can, I guess, and trying to show myself how much I'm improving in the art world and how much I have still to go in order to prove even more. Anyways, with some ending words before I stop talking and stop chatting your ear off with all my yapping, we have the ability to make anything we think of. Anything. And as long as we hone our skills and work hard at figuring out how to best learn how to create the things we want to create, we can make anything. Impatience is not the answer, in my opinion. If you want to make something that you can't currently make, don't rush it. There's no need for rushing it. Show what you have now. Show your progress now. Progress is normal. Nobody starts off perfect. I guarantee you, if I keep doing this for years on end, I'll look back at these videos and cringe because I'll be better. I'll do better. I'll have better equipment. I'll be more well equipped to do this. I will improve. We all do. And it's human to start off bad. It's human to start off worse than what we will end up as. The things I sell now will be not even close to the quality of the things I make later. And that's okay. Because while the stuff I make is good and it's awesome, I can make something way more awesome down the line. That doesn't mean I have to rush to that right now. That doesn't mean I have to try and achieve the highest quality I can right now. I'm a human. I'm growing. So I got to take my time to grow. So if you enjoy what I say and do, and you enjoy stuff that I make, please consider supporting. Do whatever you feel. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that I think it's better to support a small creator who's doing their best and learning, instead of someone who's using AI as a shortcut to try and make themselves look as presentable as possible, because that's false. It's not really your capabilities on display here. It's just an AI. It's just an exterior force doing that. That doesn't showcase any of the quality of your work or anything that you're capable of. And it really sells yourself short of what you can do. Don't show people that you're not willing to advertise your own skills and capabilities. Show people that you're willing to advertise what you can do, not what a machine can do. Show people the quality of your work. Show people what you're capable of, not what a machine is capable of. In any case, that's all. See you later.
Thank you.